I was in the Upper East Side of New York. I was not wanting to get out of bed. And then when I got out of bed, I would grab a pack of cigarettes and I'd sit by the window like out of some movie and, take a sip of a Jack Daniels, what I had no business doing. And I had trouble getting out of it. And at one of those low moments, someone that came to my rescue was Sherry Chris, the former CEO of Better Homes and Gardens, and she literally flew out to see me on moment's notice because she could feel the pain I was in, and I was willing to share a little bit. And here's another one. I had the same thing. I was out in California. I was stuck up in a beautiful location in the Redwoods in a house I have there. And a guy named Ken Jenny, who was in real estate for many, many years, who unfortunately we lost at a young age a few years ago. But Ken flies from LA to San Francisco, drives up to the woods of Sonoma, forces me to go out into the golf course and play golf with him. And, that community in real estate is great. And they're there to help you. You just have to be willing to tell them you need them. And once you tell them, there's a lot of people that'll respond. So for those going through a tough market or feeling depressed, they want to wake up and have a Jack Daniels and a cigarette. There's a lot of people that care about you. You just may not be willing to reach out. It's kind of like when you're down. I don't know if you feel this way, James. Music is good for longevity. Dancing's good for longevity. But when I'm down and out, I don't feel like listening to music. I listen to
That's
music
right.
when I'm happy. But you need to turn on the
Absolutely.
music. You need to get up and dance by yourself. Anything to
Yeah.
get moving and see the bright side of life and know that all these things that you're in the midst of will pass. Time is the best healer.
Amen to all of that, Brad. And I always tell friends that are going through it. And of course, I've had dark times myself. But at some point in your life, you will look back at those dark times and realize that those dark times are what got you to exactly where you are today. They made you
Exactly.
stronger. They made you better. You learned from those mistakes. And so I truly, I resonate with everything you've said, and everything I've been through in my own life has got me to exactly where I am today. And I don't mean that in a cliche way. I mean that because it's real.
Oh, it's
And
sincere, James. I
really,
can tell. It's very sincere.
yeah,
And I think you and I both care about the people around us. And
big
like you
time.
say, and it always comes to an end. The worst things come to an end.
Yeah, amen. So moving on, because I know your time's valuable, and I want to get you back to building live long media here. But disruption, which is such a big part of the media world, the technology world, I guess one thing I'd love to know is, do you see that AI is starting to play a role in how we consume health and wellness information, similar to the impact that it's now having on the real estate world?
Absolutely. It's accelerating research,
Yeah,
it's which is fantastic because a lot of these things are tied up in long cycles. And so
yeah,
it's accelerating research. It is definitely accelerating the innovation around procedures.
hmm,
You look at robotics now being applied to surgeries that used to be highly risky or
hmm,
less risky. You see it being applied in all sorts of ways. I'll just use an example. I'm doing something right now. I'm hoping to have it all done in time for the end of March, but I'm taking all of my tests, all of my
hmm.
health records from Kaiser back in the day in
Wow.
California, all of my NYU, the stents in my heart, all of my my functional health by all of the blood tests, all everything, like all my family history. It's all around me. It's here, there, everywhere. And they have these portals, but they're very inefficient. But I'm using AI to integrate all of this information, which is kind of
Wow.
Brad's profile. As I say, the mystery, we talk about the mystery of outer space, the mystery of what's under the sea.
Hmm.
My biggest mystery is what's inside my body. And a lot of these mysteries, by the way, have not, the brain is still a mystery to the top people in the profession. But anyway, I'm taking all of these and I'm using the new scientific perplexity one, the that just came out.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, take all this medical information and come up with who is Brad, what's going on in his body, integrating it all into one thing. And there are services doing some of this where they take your
Wow.
genetics and integrate it, but I'm taking it on myself. And pretty easy to do. You just got to figure out how to download some of these disparate files.
Yeah.
And there's also one other problem. They object to taking private health information, but I did a
Hmm.
workaround and a hack where I can copy and paste without importing what looks like a medical file. The way I look at it, I'm just going to trust the cloud. I probably shouldn't, but who cares if I really don't care if someone finds my medical records. I'm not as worried as the federal government is. And by the way, I don't want
Right.
to be
Thankfully.
irresponsible. I'm not
Yeah.
telling other people to do it. I'm
Yeah.
telling, I know my doctor knows I'm doing it. I know some other people I'm doing it. But this is the what I call the not the last mile, but a barrier to us understanding this. This is, James, very holistic. It is your behavior, it's your genes, it's your tests. And how about if we could integrate this and make it very affordable without joining one of these really expensive services that the billionaires use? So I'm just testing it and I'm learning. I'm learning the legality of uploading files. I want to make sure I'm personally not doing it illegally, but it's my information. I want to make sure I'm not deceiving the AI tools that I'm using because I depend on them. I also want to make sure that whatever conclusions I reached, I don't react to and have others look at it. But just to try to get a good profile of where I stand. And I use this as an example. I don't recommend necessarily for others. I only say the more you can take responsibility for your health, the more information you have what's inside your body that you're unaware of, the better advice you get. Like I depend on the best physicians in the world at NYU, but I also go to a Chinese healer who's been doing this for 50 years because I want all sides. I call it, I'm the guinea pig like Howard Hughes was when he would only test his planes. He wouldn't let a young pilot do it because he figured I invented it. I'm not going to put them at risk. So I'm kind of the guinea pig for my community and trying to figure out what's real here and asking questions, trying to understand it, and criticizing those that I think aren't doing their job. A lot of these things you do DIY, right? But then they leave you hanging. Like, okay, I got a
Yeah.
full body scan. It's pointing out these things. What do I do with this? And that's where we need to marry, like we did in real estate. We married the tried and tested practices of the past, those people in the industry for many years, with the innovation in the prop tech companies. And that
Mm.
created, I think, a marriage where we could make progress together. Similarly, here we have to do the same. Let's take all of this
Yeah.
innovation and then marry it with, a doctor who's been practicing for 30 years who knows a lot of stuff and is essential to our health.
Hmm. I really appreciate all of that. And I just did maybe 3 months ago a pre-nuvo scan. I don't know if you're
Yeah, yeah.
familiar with pre-nuvo. And it's like, okay, so I got all of the information from here down, but now what on earth do I do with it? Because I'm not going to now start reaching out to 17 different doctors and, nothing is a major red flag. But of course, in all of our systems, we've got 100 things that are or need adjusting. But I feel exactly what you just said in the sense that, like, what do I do with it now? It would be great to have a resource that can take this full body scan, which, by the way, was fantastic. But now what on earth do I do with it?
You nailed it, James. See, that's the gap in the market. There's all these independent things going on. There's also these very specific things that we're all looking for. And the bigger picture is what we need to understand better. Like in my full body scan, or I think my function health or by Meyer markers, they found lead. I have a lot of lead. Well, I'm not surprised. I'm 72. I lived in a farm town. Little boys, God knows what we were doing with lead paint. But you look at that and you go, oh, I'm going to have a panic attack. But guess what? There isn't much you can do about it, and you shouldn't worry
Right.
about it. And you need someone to tell you that. My wife did Prenovo, and she found a 2.5 millimeter aneurysm in her brain. The whole family flipped out, and only to realize it was in a part of her brain that was very well protected. We've tested many times. It's not growing. It's even decreased. So all the panic, and that's where my NYU doctor, Dr. Rockland, would say, "Hey, Brad, you're over testing. You got to be careful. The stress that caused her yas may have been worse than the aneurysm." So this is the confusion and what we need to do. We do have, by the way, we have the chief medical officer from Prenuvo coming, and we're going to grill them on, what they're doing. We're really supportive of testing, and we're full body, whether it's them or whoever. But those are the kind of people we have there, so we can understand how they're thinking about it.
That's really interesting. Okay, so let's shift gears. I want to just touch on real estate for a minute because I'd be
Absolutely.
crazy not to. You know, looking back at your time in this insane business called real estate, what's one major shift, Brad, that you think the industry still isn't fully prepared for? I feel like we've been through a lot over the last 24 months. I mean, I'm talking about the NAR rulings. I'm talking about, obviously more specific to California, we got the wildlife ordinance, we got ULA.
Yep.
But like, is there anything on Brad's mind that the industry has coming that we are not looking at or seeing or prepared for?
Well, I think we've had enough dreadful news, so I don't
Yeah,
want to bake something here, but I
true
will
that.
say
Yeah.
I've been through a lot of recessions, a lot of near depressions in real estate. I've been through down markets, interest rates that were, 18%, if you can imagine. Um,
Oof.
but I don't ever remember a perfect storm like this. Between the leadership of the industry not doing their job, being duct taped by their lawyers, not leading the troops through this, from the lawsuits to the payouts to the crumbling of NAR as a beacon for people, to a market that was frozen, rates no one expected to skyrocket, the shortage of inventory. I mean, this has been after a booming couple years during COVID, it's been a dreadful 2 years. But I
Mhm.
really believe that the phoenix rises. Like, I used to cover as a journalist, oddly, natural disasters, and I was a financial writer. So I was sent in after, the death toll and CNN left, and I covered, what the insurance companies were doing, which was horrible. And I covered, the rebuilding where the government slowed down the pace. But what I found most rewarding about that reporting was it's in human nature to rebuild.
Mhm.
And what we're going to look back on, like after 9/11, when people come back and they rebuild and they find their homes, people have been saying, oh, they're not going to rebuild in the Palisades. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
It's human nature. We want to go home. We want to go back to the nest. We want to, see our neighbors and our friends. It'll take a couple years, but you know what happens afterwards? The neighborhoods are better built. They are safer. The landscaping's better. It's the right kind of landscaping. The infrastructure is better. The utilities are undergrounded. And, you look at the Berkeley Oakland fire, 2,800 homes. It's better than it's ever been.